Hey folks, my name is Dave and welcome back to my garage at NTD Racing and the journey to the Baja 1000. This week we're taking a break from working on Honcho because my buddy Dan is bringing in a really sweet ride. We'll be replacing his carburetor with a Holley Snipper EFI system to see if we can make Gumball run any better. Hey folks, this is Dave from NTD Racing, and today you're just in my garage. Normally we're working on the J10, but today we got something else and it is really cool. This is my buddy Dan. Let me first tell you how I met Dan. We both work for the same airlines, and I'm a first officer and Dan is one of my captains. And one thing you probably don't know about how airlines work is we are super busy as soon as we show up to the jet to start the engines, taxiing off the gate, getting the runway, taking off, and then we usually have about 4 hours just to tell each other about our cars and our family and our dogs and those kinds of things. And so Dan and I were talking. I was telling him about my race truck and he was telling me about this truck we were just about to show you and how cool it is. But his is carbureted, and I have done a couple fuel injection mods on vehicles. So today we're gonna put a Holley Snipper in this. And let me introduce you to Dan here, and let Dan do a walk around of his van and show you this thing's bitching. This is really gonna blow your mind. Here.
All right, so this started life in 1965 in Lodi, California, and it was a Hertz rental moving van. So that's why there's no doors on the side. It's just and it's really geared low for a lot of power. I did a blistering 50 miles an hour coming down from San Clemente today, and people were giving me the thumbs up. I thought I was going to piss people off. Now they're giving me a thumbs up and right on, dude. But this started out as a moving van, of course, and a fireman ended up buying it up there and doing most of the work. It is carbureted, and the Autolite 1100 is notoriously bad. It's flooded on me, it's left me stranded. It's almost caught on fire because it gushes fuel out of the vent. It's just a horrible little piece of junk. I've rebuilt it like 5 times. And I finally flew with Dave, and he told me about the Holley Snipper. And I was like, well, that sounds like the ticket. So I bought that, cruised around to a couple hot rod shops in my area, and nobody wanted to take on the project. So I called Dave. And it's my everyday surf runner, and all my gear goes in the back, which is perfect. I got Jack Lord as my co-pilot. This is the Holley kit. I got a surf rack right there on the left. My board slips right there. I'm a stand-up paddle guy, so my paddle fits right there in the rack. My electric bike goes in here in case I need to get on that with the surf rack. And all my stuff just stays in here in the garage.
So killer. Awesome. Here is the Sniper kit we're about to put on. Here's the fuel injection system. So clean. And what I really like about this, fuel pressure regulator is right on the side. So that just takes out that much element of the plumbing you don't have to do. And then it's a couple of wires. This is the 10 pin. We'll probably use that to hook up some of the relays for the fans and those kinds of things. But most of the magic happens right here with this wire. You got one that goes to the battery, one goes to the ground, the pink one comes off of the ignition, which is a keyed power. This blue one goes to your pump. It really couldn't be much easier than that. And a couple grounds in there, and this thing be cranking. The display for the system, and then over here is a kit that he added on, and it's really kind of nice to do this because it takes all the guesswork out of what you need. I've used these fuel pumps a bunch of times, and I've used it on the race truck. You got 2 filters on either side and then a little bit of plumbing in between it. It's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Jeep J10 real quick, and we'll compare what we're gonna do on this one to what I have on the J10. And then I'll also show you a video of my old CJ7 where I put almost the same system on that, and you can see how easily this all goes together. So here is a look at the top of the Jeep J10's fuel system. You can still see that it's dirty from the Baja 1000, but it worked really well. From here we have fuel coming out of the fuel safe system. That's a 50-gallon tank going into the first filter, the same one we're going to be using on Gumball. From there, a little bit of plumbing into the fuel pump. And then from the fuel pump, now you have pressure fuel in here. So you got to make sure you have the right type of clamps there over those hoses into this fuel filter and pressure regulator. This works awesome, I find, for the LS swappers out there, because this is off of a Corvette and it sends 60 PSI fuel 10 feet up to the fuel rail on the LS. and then the rest of the fuel goes right back into the tank. This is another thing I make here on my Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. We're gonna go ahead and make one of these also for the gumball. And I find this is a really nice thing to protect all these fragile fuel system parts from any kind of rocks or debris that can come kick up off the road or off the dirt trails. So here's my old CJ7. I wanted to show you this because I put in MSD's Atomic EFI. And it was a nice system, a little bit tricky getting the idle right on this thing. And I think it's running a little bit high right now. But it has the same filter, fuel pump plan that we have to use on gumball. One of the nice things I like about gumball is it's not gonna have that fuel pressure regulator, which you can see sitting on the back of my firewall, because that's all internal with the Holley Snipper system. I think it just really cleans up the engine bay a little bit more. Obviously that was my theme on this Jeep, was just to make the cleanest engine bay I possibly could. Here, what we're looking at, we got an aftermarket coil in here. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to work with this relay. This relay operates what looks like an add-on fan, which is probably added on to help with some heating issues, I'm guessing the car was having at one point in time. Right now we're taking the old carburetor off, and then we're just going to start fitting up the new Sniper on there, but pretty easy enough. And then we'll figure out how to run this vacuum line over to the distributor, which is buried down in there. It'd probably be just easiest to fit up two right over top of that and call it good. But we'll make it all look clean, because this is obviously a professional build. We don't want anything to go in there that doesn't look professional. So check it out, plenty of room. It's awesome. We're about to get this whole fuel injection system in there. So we got this little fitting on. This is going to go to the distributor for the vacuum advance. Besides that, it's pretty simple, not a big unit, not trying to make a lot of horsepower, just really efficient horsepower. You get the fuel inlet here. This is going to be returned back to tank. Besides that, man, it couldn't be any more simple, and it hooks right up to the original throttle. It just couldn't be any easier. We're going to go ahead and get this thing on. Let's do it. We were joking as we were working on this thing how when you watch the Holley video, it only takes them about 20 minutes to put this whole system in. And it obviously took us probably about 11 hours. If I had to do it again, it would probably take about maybe 4 hours, because we had to solve issues as we were going. And one of those issues was, how are we going to mount the pumps? Let me show you our solution for mounting the filters and the pump. So if you watch any of my other videos, you know I use the Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro CNC Plasma Table, and here it is. Watch some of those videos if you're interested in one of those. Such a cool system. It's in my garage for just about $4,000 for the entire system. I don't think you can beat the price. But anyway, I had a file on my CAD program, which I use Fusion 360, which already had all the mounts that I used in the J10 race truck. And so when I've got Dan's gumball in my garage, I took some measurements and just modified that file a little bit. And a couple minutes later, I cut this whole thing out, and it maybe took a total of 30 minutes from deciding I'm going to do it to be cutting the part out. I think it turned out awesome. So if you want to increase the strength of any piece of sheet metal, put a bend in it, and that's what we're doing here. We're using just a Harbor Freight press, and this is a press brake that I got from Swag Off-Road, which you end up putting together yourself. But there's a 1/8 inch piece of plate, probably about 18 inches wide. It bends it like nothing. It could be a 1/4 inch, and it'll still bend it really nicely. And I've used these for all kinds of parts in my truck, and I find that it just works so much better to put a bend in a part as opposed to making two parts and welding it together. Okay, so here's a quick look of how we got this done. So we got the fuel coming out of the fuel sending unit over here, or just the outlet, and its fuel line goes up, it goes into the first filter. You see it's strapped down onto this plate that we just cut off of the plasma table and just rally-canded black. It goes to the fuel pump. It's grounded right back there to the back of the plate, this other filter, and then comes all the way up underneath the rail and up into the engine bay. I guess we call it the doghouse up there. So right now what we're doing is tinkering a little bit with the fuel line return. So we're dropping the fuel neck off, the filler neck, and working on the return. All right, this might not be the book answer, but this is what we did. So we needed to get a return line. We couldn't really get to the top of the tank, it just wasn't gonna happen. So we put it into the filler, and what we did is we got this Earl's little bulkhead fitting that goes through. We cut it off. If you can see in there, we fitted on a fuel line and made the turn, so it kicks it down I don't think it'll aerate the fuel too much, and it sends it right back down into the tank. It does a pretty good job. So we're gonna go put it back on, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then go test drive this thing. Well, no first start is perfect, and this is where we find out the importance of having constant 12-volt power when you key the ignition. And it seems like the wire that we picked is losing voltage as soon as we key the ignition. Ready to start this thing. We got it all wired up, key on, and this thing boots up and comes to life. And this is how we're going to monitor all the starting and the engine as it gets ready to run. Got everything wired up. We ended up having to found a place to wire, obviously straight to the battery like they said, and then also wire to the ignition coil. The toughest part was finding that constant, like a keyed 12-volt constant power. And what we ended up doing was we ended up pulling it straight off of the back of the ignition. Everything else was, as soon as you went to start, you lost your 12 volts. And this was the only wire we could find that wouldn't lose 12 volts when we went to start. So we wired up to that. Still got a little bit of bundling up to do, but let's go ahead and fire it up and see how she sounds. Nice.
Listen.
Just drops right into this beautiful idle. Now, by the magic of video, we did actually go in and idle for a little bit. We had to adjust the screw, which sets your idle on the Holley Snipper, and they explain exactly how to do that. But man, this thing just sounds sweet. We're gonna take one quick look at our fuel return line. Make sure that thing's not doing any crazy dripping. How are we looking?
Nice and dry.
Nice and dry. Pull the cap, we'll take a look and see how our return plan is doing. Make sure, safety glasses. Oh, that is so sweet. Look at that. Just going straight down in there.
Can you see it in the video?
Yeah, you can. Just going straight back down in the tank. Money. Exactly what we wanted to do. This is really good. Cool.
It's more smooth, it's got better power, it's got more reliability. My garage doesn't smell like gas anymore. It's just like a new engine. This is just the best thing we could have done for this car, aside from the paint job.
Well, I don't care what kind of car you have, Chevy, Ford, doesn't matter to me. If you're building your own car and the first time you start it up and drive it around, you're gonna have a smile on your face. It is a cool event. The next episode's also gonna be cool because we have another first drive of a vehicle, but this time it's my 6-year-old in the car he's building. I think you're gonna think it's pretty cool. If you are new to the channel, check it out. I've got a lot of really cool content. Most of it is this Jeep J10, which started out as a full-size Jeep, turned it into a pre-runner, did a LS swap in it. There's a bunch of episodes where I use the Langmeyer Systems Crossfire Pro CNC Plasma Table, and also Bentech. I use their software and a couple angle grinders, and I make this really cool roll cage. Really great content to come as we get prepared for the next year's Baja 1000. Can't wait. Hope you'll join us. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you on future episodes. Take care of yourself.